Vernomatic Productions.
Are you ready?
Live from the Metal Mayhem studios in Rochester, New York.
We are gold. We are gold.
And heard around the world by metalheads just like you. This is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Heavy metal music.
Your weekly dose of metal music, interviews, album reviews, news, and more. Want to be part of the show? Send us a message through our website, metalmayhemroc.com, or hit us up on Facebook and Twitter. Search Metal Mayhem ROC. A proud member of the Pantheon podcast team.
It's getting nice and heavy.
Now, welcome our hosts, John the Vernomatic Verno, and direct from New Jersey, Metal Walt.
Good evening, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well, staying safe, and especially staying healthy. Well, you know what? If you followed Metal Walt over the years, you know he has a knack for sitting down with some legendary British rockers. Bob Daisley, Simon Kirke, Glenn Hughes, the list keeps growing. Well, tonight he adds another icon to the list as he sits down with Mick Box, the founding guitarist and the only original active member of Uriah Heep. They talk about the Magician's Farewell Tour and more than 50 years of Uriah Heep. Along the way, Mick explains why the Magician's Farewell doesn't necessarily mean the end of Uriah Heep, but rather the band's just slowing down a little bit. He shares memories from the road with Gene Simmons. He looks back at the early days of Rush when Neil Peart joined the band, talks about the autobiography he's writing, and recalls one of the most unusual gigs that the band has ever played. That story alone is worth sticking around for. So let's get into it. Metal Walt, Mick Box, Uriah Heep stories. I'm the Vernomatic, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
So today's guest is a true legend, founding member of one of the most influential rock bands of the last 50-plus years, Uriah Heep. Mick Box, great to have you.
Hello, mate.
How are you?
How you doing? I'm doing good, mate. I'm doing fine. It's a nice sunny day here in London, England. I'm sitting in my office writing stuff. So it's all happy days, mate.
That's really, really good. So what an honor it is for us to celebrate 50-plus years of Uriah Heep. You know, the band's currently out on the Magician's Farewell Tour, a multi-year celebration, celebrating the band's incredible journey. But, Mick, there's been a lot of debate about this tour. So how should we understand it? Is this truly a final tour, or is this sort of just another chapter on a road or a long goodbye? What is it?
It's kind of, it's going to take 2 or 3 years to get round to all the territories we know. We play in like 64 countries, so we have to get out there in the world and do it. But I think, it's a slow wind down because things have changed in the world, with, as you all know, with flights and buses and everything else that, after COVID and especially in our political world over here, we left Europe, Brexit, they called it. And that's caused us, well, certainly in the musical world, end of problems, because we've got carnage we have to have everywhere with all the equipment that's traveling in that countries. There's all sorts of tax problems. There's, the buses are triple prices, flights. I mean, if you give you an example, the 1 month we were flying everywhere, but we had 4 flights cancelled. And so now you write that into the equation. You go in the day before now, rather than the day of the gig and stuff like that, just to compensate for any of those problems. So it's getting very difficult out there to do the long tours that we used to do. So we're kind of winding it down, slowing it down gradually, but we're never going to stop. We'll still do the festival, festivals that come up and ask us to play. What we're going to say? Yes, because, it's in our DNA. It's what we do, So it was more of a slow down rather than an absolute finish, yeah.
Okay. Well, it was great to see you back on stage on the Rock Legends cruise earlier this year. So how you feeling these days? And what was it like getting back up on stage on a boat?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, it was, a bit dodgy at times. I was in hospital for a short while and, ill for about a month. But, when that all came good, I started gaining strength again, and I sat in my little room here jamming away, and I'm thinking, yeah, this is good. And then, of course, with the cruise coming up, the first show was quite emotional, really, for me. But to be back in the saddle with the boys was great, because there's no better band than Uriah Heep to be in because, we are like a family.
Sure. I'm always curious. I have not been on any one of these rock cruises. I've been to several festivals over in the UK and Europe. So I've experienced that whole summer festival thing. But what is it like sharing the space on these boats with these other bands? I mean, I was looking at the roster. You had Uriah Heep, I think Gene Simmons, Blue Oyster
Yeah.
Cult, Loverboy, Kevin Cronin. These are all legendary artists.
Yeah, funny enough, Loverboy dropped out.
Okay.
And I'm not sure who took his place. I know Art Garfunkel came in and replaced someone. So it was a few changes there. But generally, it's great. You go on, you do 3 shows. Normally, it's one in the small theatre, one in the large theatre, and one on deck. And then you do a photo shoot, each band, so the fans can all have pictures taken with the bands. And it's a good atmosphere. It's good. It's really good. Nobody really bothers you because you're walking around with the fans all the time, so they're quite respectful, which is good. There is an artist dining room where all the artists go, and that's where we go and see all our mates and, say hello to Blue Oyster Cult and Gene Simmons come over because, in the early days, Kiss supported Uriah Heep, and then Uriah Heep supported Kiss. So, Gene come over and we had a good old laugh and joke about stuff, and so it's a good feeling.
Yeah, I can only imagine that's also like what goes down in a conversation with Gene Simmons or I don't know Kevin Cronin or the Buck Dharma. It's just hey guys, good to see you. That kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. And what you're up to, when you tour next, and all the rest of it, Are you playing anywhere near so we can come and see you and all that sort of stuff, Just general stuff, it's general musician stuff, You talk about this, that, and the other, and you bounce off this. You maybe a bit about equipment, maybe about the next tour, maybe where you come. Boys, you coming to England again because we've done quite a few shows with them. I think the last big one we did was in Paris with Boys to Cult, which was really cool. So it's just nice knocking around with the guys, yeah.
Sure.
Catching up,
right.
and shooting the breeze.
Catching up, shooting the breeze, maybe having a drink, and you never know what comes out of it. Maybe a show, guest appearance. So,
Yeah.
this tour started last year in 2025. You've hit the UK, South America, Europe, and in Scandinavia early this year. You had Sam Wood on guitar filling in for you.
Yeah.
How do you guys, let's say, maintain physical stamina across and all its energy across this such a long cycle? Different countries, different time zones, long periods of times. How do you stay grounded?
I think more than anything I guess the word would be passion for what you do, and it drives you through all the difficulties that come in front of you. We love what we do. We when we're on stage, you see us smiling, and it's all genuine. We just love being out there. We love playing, and that comes through to the audience, and then that comes back through to us. And that kind of energizes you to do everything, really. But it is getting harder and harder and harder, just simply because the world's changing. As you know now, with the fuel
Sure.
problem, that's gonna impact everything that we do. Lots of flights are being cancelled because the airlines can't get the fuel they need to keep the planes up in the air. So, it's I think what you have to do, to be honest, is just embrace it all and find your little niche and get on with it.
Yeah, I know. You just do what you can, right?
Yeah.
So Mick, I mean, I've seen Uriah Heep a bunch of times, and we'll get into some of that back history. But when you're thinking about, let's say, an extended global tour, maybe this is going to be the last time you're going to reach out to a large amount of people in the markets. What do you do to approach the set list? Do you try to cover all eras? Do you make sure you sprinkle in some new stuff, or like what's meaningful in terms of presenting the catalog to the fans in 2026?
Well, it's very difficult, but over the years, we've realised the songs that mean a lot to a lot of people in a lot of different territories. So we tend to stay with some of those, and that's a kind of nucleus. And then we do a Magician's Birthday, of course, because it's the Magician's Farewell. So we do that, and we dig up a few other, older tracks that we haven't played, um, or we haven't played for a long while, and we kind of put it together. But there's kind of a greatest hits we have to do. We have to do Easy Living. We have to do, Jerome. We have to do Gypsy. We have to do Stealing. So they kind of the set writes itself, and then we just embellish it with other bits.
Yeah, I could see that, of course. I'm thinking back to the last time you guys played the States, which was 2024. You had the co-headlining tour with Saxon, and even
Yeah,
back a few years before that, I caught you guys with Judas Priest. And
yeah, yeah.
I remember, for myself, but a lot of chatter around the concert halls was, "Wow, I didn't realize Uriah Heep was this heavy." People took it as like you guys have gotten heavier as you've played for more and more decades. So was there something driving that maybe sound shift at this stage of your career?
Well, basically, we kind of cover every genre, really. We do a lot of folky stuff, acoustic
Yeah.
stuff, as well as all the heavy stuff. And particularly when we're on a Judas Priest tour, we got to up our game a little bit. We can't go and do the softer side stuff because it's a metal crowd, so we tend to do all our songs that the Gypsies, the Too Scared to Runs, and songs that really motor, and from first note to last, it's just full on. It's full on. See you on the finishing line.
Uh-huh. Got it.
So
Got it.
we tend to trim our particular show to wherever we are, and we're lucky enough to be able to do that.
Yeah, it was good stuff. Both of those shows were awesome. Speaking of that tour, we had both Biff and Nigel on our show
Oh
several
yeah, cool.
times, and they were kind enough to invite us back to the tour bus after the show in Jersey. So it was funny.
Brilliant.
We had heard some funny stories about this tour. They said, these guys were drinking away and, couldn't stop with the beers. And I said, guys, I have to go home. I have to drive. And, they said, they kept it very lively on the bus. And then I said, "Oh, where's the Heap guys?" And they said, those guys live in luxury. They go to hotels. They don't rough it like us. So is there any truth to that?
Well, basically, what we do is crew, merchandising, and everything else are on a tour bus, and we tend to have a van and a hotel each night. But it's just something we decide to do because we just to have a decent sleep and decent sized bed that isn't moving. Um, Suddenly, as the years come on, becomes very important. So, and we've got no need to be at the show at 8 o'clock in the morning, and unload and everything else. So, and then you're just hanging about the gig, and it gets pretty boring and et cetera, et cetera. So, we do it that way, and it works very well for us.
Yeah, I know. Listen, it was all said in good fun, but I will say those guys were crazy. I'm like, I don't know, at your age and all these decades of touring, how you could be, beers and shots, and Biff is holding court with his rum and cokes. Man, oh man, I'm like to do that.
Yeah,
I was tired after 2 hours of it.
yeah. No, you have that adrenaline rush after you come off stage, of course, then you have a few drinks and that's kind of when you're on a bus like that, that's kind of where the party begins.
Exactly. Well, those are great shows, Mick, because I know at that time you were promoting the Chaos and Color album. That was an awesome album. Some of my favorite tracks, Save Me Tonight and Hurricane. When you think about the fans presenting the catalog, how are songs like this received? Are the fans into the newer material still?
Very, very much so, yeah. Because I think we've kind of kept the heritage of the band and what we've always sounded like, and with Jay Rustin as our producer, he's kind of given a fresh approach to it, so it sounds really fresh and exciting. But the essence of the band has always been Hammond organ, wah-wah guitar, harmonies, and it's been our sort of template from day one with good songs with decent lyrics, or lyrics that say something, and we're kind of kept with that all the way down the line. So yeah, I mean the new songs fitting in very well besides the classic songs. And when you think about it though, they're only classic because of the times that they were written in. So we call our new songs soon to be classics.
And it's true. You have, I mean, I always think
Yeah.
about this for, especially the classic rock and the metal bands that have been doing this for 40, 50 years and some more at this point. But how is this legacy, let's say, being interpreted by younger fans? What do you see around the world in terms of generations coming to the shows?
Oh, very young down the front. It's fantastic. And there's certain people that to be honest, will hear Chaos and Color. I think that's our first album. They have no idea that there's a whole slog of many years back. But that's good. That's good because then they've got lots of birthday presents and Christmas presents and everything else to come if they ask for the music of Uriah Heep.
Well, it's,
But
as long
as presents, but yeah, I mean, certain people come in at certain levels, and some come in at a Abominog when we were top 40 in America, and it was going very, very well for us, and we toured with Def Leppard. And there's some that have been all the way through, so it's a real cross section. Sometimes you get whole families coming.
Mhm.
Um, but it's great, and a lot of older people that have, the kids have grown up and moved on, and then they find out that we're still going and go, well, let's go and check this out. And they come along and have a great time. So it's quite varied, but I guess you could say from 5 to 50 and up, or 7 to 70.
Mick, and I do want to talk a little bit about how Uriah Heep kind of fits in this whole picture in America, but I wanted to make a
Yeah.
comment. So many bands have members coming and going. Sometimes it's by choice, sometimes it's by death. I mean, you guys have had a lot of changes through the decades. You've lost Ken and David and Lee and John. But guys like Bernie and Phil, they've been in the band since what, the mid to late 80s, in a sense, almost longer than the
1986.
yeah, and longer than the original guys. So let's say, how would you describe the impact those guys have had about, sort of keeping the band's spirit and sound alive?
Well, first off, they've probably been in the band longer than all the people you're talking about. But they come in and of course, if I'm there, it's always going to sound like Uriah Heep because the spirit lives within me. So they jump on board and are very, very, they honor our heritage and they understand it. They were big fans before they even joined us, so they knew what it was all about. So they come on board and keep that, and then just bring their own voice to what they do, and I encourage that, and it's. It works very well. As I say, we're the greatest mates and we have the best laugh in the world when we're out on the road. And in fact, the first thing I ever say to anybody or any musician, really, the first thing you pack in your suitcase is a sense of humor, because that's the thing that gets you through everything, right? And we've got a great sense of humor. We never stop laughing and having a great time.
Yeah, that's awesome to hear because I'm sure it doesn't always work that well. But it sounds like you guys, you're
Yeah.
more of a family than a business relationship. But Mick,
Yeah.
talking about US, and you alluded to it before. I mean, I listen to a lot of still terrestrial radio where it exists, which is not much these days, and of course, like
Yeah.
Sirius XM satellite. And it's not uncommon to hear "Easy Living and Stealing" on those channels, but that is all you hear. And fortunately or unfortunately, in the States, you guys are kind of lumped into that classic rock category along with Deep Purple, Bad Company, and others. But I know historically it's a different view in Europe, in the UK, and others. So, what is it about the States? Why do you think the band connected differently in America early on? Was it timing, radio, promotion?
I think we had a couple of major shows that kind of it got a lot of press and then started opening up. Because it's certainly within the Midwest, like Chicago, we were playing with T-Rex and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but we blew them away to the point where the audience didn't want to hear them. And we had major impact there in Chicago. I think it was Chicago Auditorium, I think it was. And I know that they were shouting for more. They wanted encore, 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 but they locked us in our dressing room so we couldn't get on the stage. And so we were locked in the dressing room, but it was the theatre with those little speakers, so we could hear what was going on. And it was a lot of noise about Heap come begging on stage. So they locked us in the dressing room, and then T-Rex went out, Mark Bolan went out. Man, he did a really good thing. He said, "What about Jimi Hendrix?" And of course, there's a big roar from the crowd. What about Janis Joplin? Big roar from the crowd. What about Jim Morrison? Big roar from the crowd. And somebody in the crowd said, "What about Uriah Heep?" Game over. So with that going on, we literally hit the press, all through the Midwest. We had a similar thing with 10 years after, in Cleveland, certainly in Ohio. I think it might have been Canton, Ohio, but Alwyn Lee was a great mate of mine, a great mate of the band. He loved the band. We really got on well together, and we were touring with them. And again, we had that same sort of reaction, which was good. And he went out, and then unfortunately, he was quite a good-looking boy, and he was being certainly in England, almost being put in that poster boy category. and he just wanted to be the musician that he was, the great musician he was, and he went out on stage and all the photographers, all all the paparazzi and all that stuff, and he just stopped the show. I said, "Look, will you please go away?" Basically, polite version, and they did, and a lot of people went away, but it was lovely. He came back to our dressing room after the show. I said, look, guys, you took the show. Well done. It's fantastic. And we were mates ever since, Yeah.
Okay,
Until unfortunately he passed away. Yeah.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is that sort of exploded in the press, if you like, the music press at least, and the daily newspapers across the Midwest. And that started the ball rolling where we could start touring on our own.
Okay. And you mentioned like you did some support for Def Leppard. I know I did a little history lookup. You supported Rush, or maybe they supported you, Judas Priest, probably and others during those early years in the 70s and 80s. Any big memories of performing or playing on tour with any of those big rock bands?
Yeah, of course. Well, we had and we had our own sort of confetti and things and explosions and things like that. And I think we said, yeah, sure. And I can't explain it, but it was like a war going off. They had so many explosions that go off. So when we went on, well, our fight was going like foot compared to their explosions, right? So. But it was all down to the music in the end, and so we won the day. But never mind.
Well,
But yes, so there's many stories with them all. Yeah.
Many stories for eventually, if you want to write a book about your touring history, you got a lot to cover, many years, right?
I'm writing it right now. Yeah.
Are you really?
Yeah, writing it right now. Yeah, and I'm writing with a guy, and he said, Mick, he says, you've written 100,000 words, which most people can't even fill a book with. They're struggling. He says, you've written 100,000 words, and you're only up to 1970. So he says, we might have to have 2 or 3 books here. But the one thing is, I've got a good memory about lots of things. And also, you can research anything on the internet now. So, put that together and you get a lot of words.
So I'm always curious, like, how does a guy like you with this whole career, where do you start? Do you just start typing things in, maybe writing it out? Do you have something like ChatGPT help you?
No. I start from the very beginning, when I lived in Wolfers on the East End of London, and how I become to, get into guitar when I was 14 years old, and the people that influenced me, and how it grew into a band called the Stalkers that went into Spice, that went into Uriah Heep, and they're just the general evolving of everything that happened, really. And it was exciting. I mean, I won the lottery when I got born in 1947 because I was in the middle of all that explosion in 1970 when everything was getting bigger, brasher, louder, and the great thing about the world at that time, there was only 3 things of interest, which was music, fashion, and sport. And they were all intrinsically linked. We can do more than that on one app on your phone now. So
Sure.
the versions are immense. But back then, the music scene was just so vibrant and great. And record companies, of course, signed you to 6 or 7 album deals, and you grew with them, and they grew with you. And it was a great musical growth on all bands. We all got ripped off, of course. Don't get me wrong, but the good thing that came out of it was all the good music.
Sure. Well, you got a lot of history to cover, and good luck with that project. And we'll make sure we help you promote it when it eventually comes out. And I'm glad to hear, Mick, that your health is good and your memory's good. And I just lost my father recently, and he had a lot of ailments, but probably one of the biggest ailments he suffered for was an ailment called CRS. Do you know what CRS is?
No, I don't, mate. No.
It's called can't remember shit.
Oh. Is that long-term shit or short-term shit?
You know what? My father had a legacy of jokes. He could remember everything back 50, 60 years. And I started archiving his jokes for a book as well. But he couldn't tell you what his doctor appointment was yesterday. But we got the most important stuff out of him.
Well, that sounds good to me, mate. Yeah.
So, hey, Mick, you got a lot of dates coming up this year. I was looking at your website, summer and fall, UK and Europe. Maybe take us through your logistics, and will there be some sort of US in the plans down the line?
Well, certainly we're looking at the US. Yeah, we want to come out there and do a decent tour. But I think the right way for us to go out is with a package again. Like a three package that is exciting. And I think that will probably happen next year. Now we were hoping to do it this year, but it didn't quite work out. Um, but we just keep touring wherever we can. We're going through a whole lot of Europe. Um, Up until Christmas, if you like, up to December, and then we'll start again. We'll kick off again next year, probably in January, and go to territories that we haven't managed to fit in this year, and the US being one of them, the very important ones that we want to come back and play. Yeah, yeah, because this show is a really good show, and I love it because Magician's Birthday, I'll get to jam out for 10 minutes, with Russell on the drums, and we have a great time.
That sounds good.
The other guys go out and have a drink and a rest and whatever they do, but yeah, me and Russ are just jamming like good, demons.
I could tell you that must be one of your favorite moments on stage there.
Yeah,
But
it is.
Mick, it was funny. I was just skimming the music news the other day, and it popped up that the song "Look at Yourself." There was a new take on it, a project by let's say a package called Nuclear Messiah. You're on it,
Yeah.
but you have Sebastian Bach, Chris Poland, former bandmate Bob Daisley,
Carmen
Derek
Appice, yeah.
Sherinian, Carmen Appice.
Yeah.
How does this whole thing come together, and how do you get on it? And what's your opinion on the new reinterpretation of the classic?
Well, there's a record company called Cleopatra Records, and get in touch with me and say, would you play on this? And if I'm not doing anything, yes, of course I will. And I just fired it up on the computer, and it was kind of just a basic demo without really anybody on it, other than just a really straight, bland demo. So I just blew away on it, got into the feel of it, put my 70s head on, head and bum up and go for the finish line, and I sent it over to them, and they loved it, and they thought, well, this is so good, we're going to get other people, some other names involved now, because it's really cool. And they did, and it gradually built up, and everyone put their part on. And it's quite cool because I'm playing with Bob Daisley, who was in Uriah Heep, as well. So that's really cool. So it's the first time sort of Bob and I have worked together for years. Since he left and went to Witchy again. So
Yep.
so that's kind of nice. But it's just I never know who the other people are going to be until I throw out my bit, and then everyone builds it around that. But it's a good take on it. It's exciting. It's got the right vibe. And that's the important thing for me, to get the right vibe on it. And everyone's doing their job, which is great.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Cleopatra Records, it was ironic. Last night I was preparing for our discussion today, and my buddy said, hey, you know what? You should hit up Cleopatra Records because they're going to be putting out the William Shatner of Star Trek fame. He's putting out a heavy metal album. So I was just
Wow.
I don't know, Mick, are you going to get a chance to play on the William Shatner
Well,
album?
if I get the call or the email, I'll be on it, mate. Yeah. I've done many diverse ones. I've done the Rainbow tribute. Lots of them. America. Lots of them. Walter Egan. I mean, they just come to me, and I just lay out a load of solos and go,
Yeah.
there you go. And then
Well-
suddenly it all explodes later. 9 months down the line with everybody else that's been involved. So it's great.
Yeah, sure. By the way, Bob Daisley, he's been a guest on the show a couple times. He's an amazing mate. We love that guy. I can see why you guys are bandmates and friends together. Lovely, lovely guy. But Mick, talk about the Shadow in the Wind box set that was released a little while back, but it's still something you're plugging.
Yeah, I think it's coming out on Cherry Red Records. And I think it's a four album box set, isn't it? I think from memory, and with some bonus tracks and things that haven't been heard before, which always makes me nervous because, to be honest, anything that hasn't been released is usually left on the cutting room floor for a reason. But they seem to, find these bits and pieces and put them on as bonus tracks and everything else. So actually, I haven't heard it yet, so I'm waiting for them to send me over a copy because I think they've just re-released it again. So I'll be very intrigued to hear it. Yeah.
Well, you don't have any space behind you on your CD tower there, so you're gonna have to make some space there.
Oh, mate, I've got the vinyl over there, the CD over it, yeah, everything, mate. Yeah, yeah. This is a true music room.
I'm in my music room too, but I put a backdrop for Uriah Heep.
Yeah, I see that. It's very nice. Thank you. That looks great.
You're welcome. But mine's similar looking.
And that guitar on the wall, there's my first guitar.
Yeah, I was going to say that. What is that? Explain what that one is.
It's called a Telston, which wasn't a major make, and it was in a pawnbroker's at the top of a high street shopping centre sort of thing, and I just saw it, fell in love with it, and when I was 14, and then I didn't have any money to buy it, and then my mum saved up some money, and we walked in one day, and she says, "Take it home," and I did. And just fell in love with it, and I've kept it ever since, and there's a picture beside it of my mother as well. So
I see that.
So that's the memory in the heart of where it all started.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. That's a great story. So, Mick, maybe the magic question before we go into a few listener questions.
Okay.
After the touring cycle ends, will you guys still look to produce new music, put maybe a couple songs out, an album? Going to continue to write?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, it's in my DNA to write. I mean, write every day. I write something. So yeah, we will. We'll find a spot somewhere along the line to put the brakes on and go in the studio for sure. It's just something we love doing. So yeah, that's definitely on the cards.
Okay, that sounds good too. So, Mick, this has been a great discussion, but we have some listener questions, and I think these are going to be fun ones for you. So,
Cool.
So I got 3 of them. So here we go. So when people talk about Uriah Heep, they often focus on those early classics. But in your opinion, what's an overlooked album or era you wish your fans appreciated a little bit more?
Well, that's a difficult one. Probably, I mean, one of my favourite Heep albums from way back is Salisbury. With the 27-piece brass and woodwind section. I thought it was a great track, and it's a very eclectic album. There's a lot of acoustic rock stuff, the orchestra stuff. It's got everything in it. So that's one album that I particularly like. And of course, we had one song called "Lady in Black," which just exploded, certainly all over Europe. Not so much in the USA, but that song is we got us 2 Gold Lion Awards, which has got 2 Grammys, if you like, the European side of it. So yeah, there was a few surprises there on that album. That took off really, but that's one album, yeah.
Okay. So now, the next one is, of all the guitar parts you've written, which one still gives you the goosebumps when you play it live?
Oh my word! Probably Magician's Birthday.
Okay.
Where I can jam out, but I do like. We're doing a kind of extended version of July Morning as well, where I get to do some stuff, and that's really cool too. And also when we played Look at Yourself live, again that was a jam that everyone in the band were involved in, so that was it was really cool because you can see how much we enjoyed it, number one, but you could also see how much all of us were on one pulse, because if I beer, everyone went with me, and vice versa, it was great, so we always had good fun doing that. But there's three there, right there.
Okay, all right. And maybe what's a song maybe fans constantly ask about that has so much staying power that maybe you didn't expect it would?
Well, Gypsy would be one, because it was written back in 1970, well, 69. I wrote it with David Byron, so that would be one that would and I think it's just an earthy riff, that people connected with. Once we start that riff, it really you can see the audience just rise, which was really cool. Yeah. So yeah, probably Gypsy.
Okay. All right. So Mick, let's wrap it up with a few quick questions on you. All right. The first concert you ever saw, maybe a rock and roll concert. What was the first rock concert you ever saw?
Johnny Kent and the Pirates. with they had a song called "Shaking All Over." A fantastic riff, and they had a guitarist called Mickey Green, who was kind of the guitarist in London at the time, and he had a Telecaster, and so my first real electric guitar was a Telecaster. I kind of
Yep.
went along with that, but that was a great riff. And then the next concert after that was them with Van Morrison.
Oh,
And again, they had "Baby Please Don't Go" with another great riff similar to the "Shaking All Over," and those two riffs, that was me. I'm gone.
all right. That was the
I mean, that was-
inspiration to do it a little
that was-
further, right?
It was me under wraps. Prior to that, I was very jazzy influenced. I loved all Les Paul, Merrifield, Tal Farlow, Barney Kessel, and all those old jazzers because my guitar teacher, which I only had a few lessons with, because I got frustrated because he'd give me a lesson, I could play it the next day, and I got to wait a whole week because I couldn't afford to have any more. So I got kind of frustrated. But he used to be the second guitarist to Django Reinhardt, so all my teachings were very jazz based, but which was great because I loved all the voicings and the chords and everything. But then then we got into the rock field, and I was off and running.
Did you ever put out any jazz music, a song or two, or an album? You haven't anything a solo?
No, I put a few things in various things. Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
the track Salisbury. You listen to the three major solos within that song. They're all very flowy, jazzy.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, Mick, what are one or two of your favorite cities or countries to play in, and why?
Oh, wow. I do love Detroit. I do love Chicago,
Okay.
which we always had. They were big areas for Heap. That Midwest was very, very big area for Heap. We played some really strange ones. We played in a prison in Germany. We played in a salt mine in Merkers, Germany, where Hitler's stored all the gold and artwork and everything else, many feet under the ground in the salt mines. And we did an acoustic show down there. So we've done some really strange things. But it's very difficult to pull it out the bag. When you go to somewhere like Brazil and maybe Greece, their take on music is almost like a religion, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
They live and breathe it, and it's everything to them. There's nothing jaded about them at all. Where you're not going to walk out and see an audience that goes, "Come on in, show us what you got." They're there for you right from the first note, and they also sing all the riffs I play and all that stuff. It's a really thrill. So there's a few, but generally, any stage anywhere in the world is what we own when we're on it, and we just love it.
How does a show get booked in a salt mine or in a former prison? Is it like a radio promotion, or is this just like, well,
No.
okay?
Well, the prison one, funny enough, was we were playing a major festival in Germany, close by, and then the warden came and phoned up our management and said, "Look, you're playing here. Would you come in and entertain the prisoners?" And we didn't think twice about it. And I thought, well, fine, let's go and do it. We're going to be there. The gear's going to be there. Then when it got closer, I was thinking to myself, well, everyone in prison can't be a Uriah Heep fan. Well, at least I hope they weren't. And then when we got there, of course, the world press were there, and it became a big thing. And also, the warden there, I said to them, look, we got a few songs in the repertoire that we play. Maybe we shouldn't play, we got Too Scared to Run, Free Me, Stealing, in prison, you think, well, maybe not. And he said, no, play them. So we did, but I couldn't resist it because, and the song Free Me, the chorus line is free me from your spell. And I got Bernie to see free me from your cell.
No. Well,
and nobody picked up on it, but we were laughing our heads off, And there's a warden, a bodyguard, and a prisoner, all with a fist in there, singing along, So it was quite something. Yeah.
I was going to say you could have thrown Easy Living in there and say,
Yeah,
"Hey guys, is this Easy Living?" And
break out. Yeah. Break out. The siren's going off.
Oh man, too funny.
Yeah.
Mick, maybe one last thing. Tell us something about you or your fans that you do outside of music. What's a passion of yours, or maybe something we don't know about you?
Oh, well, football. Or soccer, as you would call it.
Yes.
My team's Tottenham Hotspur, and we're doing so badly this year that we might even have to drop down the league. But we're fighting and clinging on to try and stay in the top league, the Premier League. But as all these things, you're a fan of it, through boy to man. You don't float away just because we're not doing well. You go through it and go through the agonies with it. But yeah, football was a big part of it. In fact, I was very, very good at football at school when I was in the London school boys team. Which was quite good before you moved up into the England schoolboy team. So I was doing really well. But what I noticed, there was a lot of people were growing in stature and getting stronger and everything else. And I was still the small, stocky guy I always was. And I used to get stuck in. And then, of course, they started taking that aggression out of the game. And I kind of lost interest then, because it was fun getting stuck in, But there we go. So football is a passion, yeah.
Sure. I know, there's been many years where Richie Blackmore would talk about in the days they'd have friendly matches, and actually coming up, Iron Maiden is going to be playing in my hometown in September, and it's Soccer Town, USA is a town called Harrison, New Jersey, as well as the counterpart town, Kearney, New Jersey. And I'm going to see if I can reach out to Ron Smallwood and make something happen, maybe a fan-friendly match or something, because I think these guys appreciate it.
Oh, they would. They would, Yeah, I mean, Steve Howe's a big West Ham fan, which is a rival team in London to my team, and both those teams are fighting to not go down into the lower league. So Steve's a great guy. Yeah.
Well, and you also have the over here in the States, the World Cup is coming up, so there's a lot of hype on that. There's going to be a lot of matches 100%. Played in New Jersey, so big stuff here.
And our previous manager for Tottenham Hotspur is the manager of the USA team now.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's really cool. That's really cool. So I'll be rooting for you just because of it.
All right. Sounds good. So for all Uriah Heep fans listening, make sure you catch the Magician's Farewell Tour when it comes to your area. Mick, I really appreciated speaking to you today.
Thank you, my friend. I enjoyed it too. So that's a double whammy.
All right. Well, we'll make sure, hopefully we catch you on tour and see you in person, or get you back on whenever that book comes out or that next album. So for Mick Box, I'm Metal Walt, and this is Metal Mayhem ROC.
Happy days.
Metal for life.
Thank you for listening to Metal Mayhem ROC. Check out our website at metalmayhemroc.com for information on podcasts, archives, links to all our live radio shows, and all sorts of info. Please like, follow, and share with everyone, even your non-metal friends. And always remember to keep it heavy.